I am going to be 52 years old on Friday, and I actually have had an eating disorder it started when I was 28. And I went into treatment at age 43, and I was in treatment for several years before I would consider myself in recovery. I have been in recovery though now for 5.5 years. I also have been suffering from severe OCD since I was 10 years old. Mine started after the death of my brother. I had a real fear that other people in my life were going to die. So I was doing a lot of rituals to save people. I was probably showering an average of 5 to 6 times a day, washing my hands, probably up to 75, I don't know, times a day, washing clothes, rewashing clothes, cleaning my house. My big fear again was death. So if anything came into my house that had to do with death, like if I had to go to a funeral or anything, I would have to completely clean my house top to bottom, or I was afraid someone was going to die. So it got real bad, and there were also other things outside of my house that were triggers too that I felt were contaminants. So I got to a point where leaving my house was really hard, and it was just easier to be home because I felt safe there. My eating disorder started as a diet method and ended up turning into a way that I coped with life. I really was never dealing with anything. I was pretty much masking everything in my life. I would come home from work, and if I had a rough day, I would start the binge purge cycle. And what it did was I would eat when I got home, and then I would feel guilty and I would feel full, and then I would purge. And what it was doing for me was not just getting rid of that food that I felt bad with, but it was kind of like letting go of all the emotion of the day. I kept a smile on my face. I did everything that needed to be done with my children, with my husband, my family, and everything was just okay. They would have never guessed I had anything wrong because everything seemed so perfect. You're right, it seemed perfect. Inside I was dying. For me, residential was the best choice because I needed to take myself out of my life. I had to have the time to get better. The first couple times they said something about art, I'm like, you've got to be kidding me. I mean, I really had struggles with drawing stick people. I mean, that's how artistic I thought I was. And it brought out these feelings that were like really buried, but the art brought it out. So art was huge. In fact, I just finished illustrating my first book. Journaling was huge for me. I had never had a journal in my life. My daughter gave me one when I came in here with a poem written on it that's called Don't Quit. And I would reference that poem on the first page all the time. And she gave me the journal, and I started journaling at day one. And what that journal turned into now is I actually have a book published called In Ed's Path, and much of the book is from my journaling. My thinking is just so different than it used to be. And I think that's where, like I said, I can really measure the progress I've made because I always used to think, what's going to happen in life that's going to knock me back down? And it always scared me. But I've had a few things happen now, and I didn't get knocked down. And I think that's where I know how much stronger I am than I used to be. I'm so not ashamed of all the stuff I have at all, I'm really proud of myself that I've been able to, that I'm where I'm at with it and accepting of it, and that I'm living my life for the first time in many, many, many years. And I just wish people would realize that it really isn't anything to be ashamed of.